Okay, everyone, take two. Review hypothesis test for one sample means an intro to hypothesis testing for two sample proportion. I apologize for my first video that was all of 8 seconds long. I don't know if I hit stop record or start record or didn't hit start or what happened. So anyway, we shall start again. So the other day we were talking about hypothesis testing for one sample, and in those examples, we were given the stats. We were given the sample mean and the sample standard deviation. And today I'm going to start with a question where we're given a list of data. So we've seen this before when we looked at confidence intervals for one sample or for one mean. And if we have a list of data, we want to approach this a little bit differently. So here I have, let me see if I can find where my pen is. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're given our null hypothesis here that the mean is equal to 59.7, and we have an alternative hypothesis that our mean is less than 59.7. So we think it might actually be less than. So I'm going to draw my normal curve. I know I'm looking for something off to the left. This is a left-tailed test. That's our step one in our hypothesis test. Step two is to set our significance level, and we're given that level here. Remember, we want to do that early on so that we keep ourselves honest in the stats process. All right, the next step, let's see, where's my pen gone? Okay, the next step was to find our test statistic. And when we were looking at proportions, our test statistic was a Z. When we're working with means, our test statistic is a T because it's a T distribution. And then we also want to find our p-value. And so I'm going to get my calculator, move it over here out of the way. Fortunately for you, I took the liberty of entering all of these values already so that you don't have to sit here for 5 minutes while I enter those. If I can clear this out. Okay, we'll try turning it off and back on again. And clear that out. All right, so I want to go to Stat under Edit. This is where you enter your list. And as I said, I've already entered all of this. Once you get your list in place, we go back to Stat Test and down to number 2 for a t-test. The last example we had, we looked at stats. Now we want to look at data. So make sure that's blinking. Our null hypothesis mean is 59.7, so we enter it there. Use the list that you put all your information in. I used L1. Frequency will always stay at 1. And then we want that less than situation. We hit calculate. Move this over just a bit. So for my test statistic here, I get a negative 3.88. Let me put that in. I can find my cursor. There it is. Negative 3.88. And that p-value was, so that means it's almost 4 standard deviations below the mean, which is really far. So our p-value should be very small. So this p-value underneath the t is 1.72, but we have an e to the negative 4. So watch for that e. That means we're going to move the decimal place 4 places to the left. So I have 0.000172. Our fourth step, we want to compare the p-value to alpha. And so we have 0.000172 and 0.05. And so our p-value is much less than the significance level. So we want to reject the null. That is our formal conclusion. Our very last step is we want to state our conclusion with our practical conclusion with respect to the actual situation. So if we reject the null, we do have sufficient evidence that the actual population mean is less than 59.7. So that's just a recap on hypothesis tests for one sample means. The next thing I want to look at